Welcome to today's deep dive, where we're going to be tackling why so few companies are reaching unicorn status in this age of digital everything. I mean, you'd think with all this tech, it would be easier than ever.
It's a fascinating paradox. You would think so, right? With all this technology at our fingertips, we should be drowning in unicorns. But the reality is, most digital transformations, they fail, employee disengagement is through the roof, and trillions of dollars are wasted.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. What is going wrong?
Yeah.
And to help us answer that question, we're going to be taking a look at Michele Brissoni's work.
Yes.
He's got a new article and white paper out.
Yeah.
And he really digs into what he calls the 6 dysfunctions of IT investments.
I love his work.
Yeah, he doesn't pull any punches, does he?
No.
But these dysfunctions are really eye-opening, especially for investors.
Oh, absolutely. For investors, this is like a cheat sheet for spotting the companies that are set up to fail and those with hidden potential, maybe even a unicorn.
Right, okay. So let's jump into it. Dysfunction number 1, no universal IT standards. So in fields like medicine, you've got rigorous testing, you've got certifications, you kind of know what you're getting.
Right. You know what to expect.
But in IT, it's the Wild West.
Yeah, it's a bit of a free-for-all, which creates a lot of uncertainty for investors. You're basically evaluating software companies without a reliable way to gauge the quality of their products. It's kind of like investing in a car without knowing if the engine's going to work.
Yeah, and we've seen some of those high-profile software failures play out.
Yeah.
Remember that car company whose software was so buggy, they had to delay production for months.
Oh, yeah. I remember that one. Cost them a fortune. Yeah, this lack of standardization, it leads to costly delays, damaged reputations, and ultimately billions lost in unrealized potential.
Absolutely. Okay, dysfunction number 2. This is a big one. Elite talent is scarce. Brissoni states that only 1% of IT professionals have the skills to drive true innovation. So you're trying to build a billion-dollar company, but there's this massive talent drought.
It's a huge problem.
Yeah.
And it creates this intense competition for the top 1%, driving up salaries, making it even harder for smaller companies or those in less glamorous industries to attract the talent they need.
So how does an investor approach that? If you're looking at a company's team and they don't have that top-tier talent, can you really have confidence that they're going to be able to, out-innovate the competition?
You really have to look beyond the hype and scrutinize the talent behind the technology. Ask yourself, are these true innovators or are they just following the latest trends?
Right, yeah. Okay, dysfunction number 3. Mediocrity kills ROI. When the best people are so hard to find, companies start settling for good enough.
Right.
But Brissoni's point is good enough just doesn't build a unicorn.
No, it doesn't. It's a trap that so many companies fall into. They think, well, this software is working, sort of. It's meeting our basic needs. But that kind of thinking leads to stagnation. You're not pushing boundaries. You're not disrupting the market. You're just existing.
And investors can spot this. Are the company's goals incremental? Are they ambitious? Is their leadership content with maintaining the status quo? Or are they actively seeking to disrupt the market?
You hit the nail on the head. It's about understanding the mindset of the leadership team. Are they comfortable with mediocrity? Or are they driven by a relentless pursuit of excellence?
Right. Because in the digital age, mediocrity is a death sentence.
That's right.
Dysfunction number 4, digital transformation theater. Companies throw tons of money at the latest tech, but they totally forget about the people.
Yeah.
Who are actually going to be using it.
Yeah, they focus on the what without considering the how. You can have the most advanced AI-powered platform in the world, but if your employees aren't trained to use it effectively, if the company culture doesn't support innovation, it's all for show.
It's like buying a state-of-the-art kitchen, but your chefs have no idea how to use the appliances, all that investment, and you're still serving up microwave dinner.
Yeah. Exactly. And investors need to see past the flashy presentations and the buzzwords. Are these companies truly integrating technology into their operations, or are they just putting on a show for potential investors?
Right. And speaking of people, dysfunction number 5 hits right at the heart of the workforce. Burnout and disengagement. A whopping 77% of employees feel disengaged, and 38% are experiencing burnout.
That's crazy.
It's a recipe for disaster.
It really is. Think about the impact on productivity, creativity, innovation. When employees are disengaged and burned out, they're not bringing their best selves to work. And in a fast-paced competitive environment like AI, that can be fatal.
Yeah, it's like trying to run a marathon with a team of exhausted runners. You might start strong, but you're not going to win the race. So investors need to ask, what's the company's culture like? Do employees feel valued? Do they feel supported? Because a burned out workforce, that's a huge red flag.
It's a major red flag. Yeah, it's about understanding the human cost of these failed transformations, because when employees are suffering, the company suffers, and ultimately the investors suffer.
Absolutely. Okay, last but not least, dysfunction number 6. Playbooks don't build unicorns. You know, it's tempting to think, oh, you could just follow a framework like Agile or DevOps and poof, instant success. But Brissoni argues it's just not that simple.
No, it's not that simple. These frameworks, they can be valuable tools, but they're not magic bullets.
Oh.
Blindly following a playbook without adapting it to your company's unique context, culture, needs is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it's like trying to build a house using only a blueprint without considering the terrain or the climate or the needs of the people who are actually going to be living there. It might look good on paper, but it's not going to stand the test of time.
Exactly.
So investors can spot this by looking at how companies are implementing these frameworks. Are they just going through the motions, or are they truly embracing the underlying principles of agility and customer centricity?
Yeah, they need to walk the walk.
So there you have it, the 6 dysfunctions that are plaguing IT investments and preventing companies from reaching that unicorn status. But before you start thinking it's all doom and gloom, Brissoni doesn't just leave us with a list of problems.
No.
He actually offers a solution.
Yes.
He calls it the unicorn's ecosystem.
Yeah.
It's this 6-stage framework that directly addresses these problems and provides a roadmap for engineering future unicorns.
Yeah, and what I find so compelling about this framework is that it's not just about the technology. It's about the people, the culture, and creating an environment where innovation can thrive.
Right. It's a holistic approach.
Absolutely.
That addresses those 6 dysfunctions head on. And that's what we're going to dive into next. We're going to break down each stage of the unicorn's ecosystem and explore how investors can use this framework to make smarter decisions and engineer those billion-dollar success stories.
That's going to be good.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to our deep dive.
So before the break, we were discussing Michele Brissoni's 6 dysfunctions, right? Which are absolutely critical for any investor.
Absolutely.
Who's trying to navigate the AI landscape these days.
Absolutely.
But now,
yeah, let's get into the good stuff.
Let's get to the good stuff.
The solutions.
The solutions. So Brissoni's unicorn's ecosystem lays out a 6-stage framework that really tackles these problems head on.
It's like a roadmap for turning those IT liabilities into high-performing assets. And it all starts with stage 1, organizational assessment.
Okay, I'm really curious about this because is this just another one of those like generic SWOT analyses that we see all the time?
No, not at all. Remember the first dysfunction, the lack of universal IT standards? This stage tackles that head on. It's about using data to benchmark a company's IT capabilities against the best in the industry.
So it's like investors can finally get a clear picture of where a company stands.
Exactly.
No more relying on hype or like vague promises.
Exactly. You're looking at things like code quality, security practices, the level of automation they've achieved. You're comparing apples to apples, which is essential when you're trying to assess the true potential of a company in the AI era.
That's incredibly valuable. And it makes me think about the second dysfunction, that scarcity of elite talent.
Right.
How does the framework address that?
Stage 2, the software craftsmanship dojo.
Dojo. Are we trading ninjas now?
Not quite ninjas, but we are talking about building a team of highly skilled software engineers. Think of it as a structured program for upskilling existing teams, instilling a culture of craftsmanship, and embedding a deep understanding of engineering principles.
So instead of just trying to poach the top 1%, companies can actually create their own talent pool?
Exactly.
That's a game changer, especially for companies who don't have the resources to like get into these bidding wars for rockstar developers.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that talent is not just something you acquire, it's something you cultivate.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, but what about companies that are already stuck in that rut of mediocrity? Mm-hmm. How do you help them move beyond good enough?
That's where stage 3 comes in, KBI and coaching. Remember those key behavioral indicators we mentioned earlier? This stage uses data to identify the specific behaviors that are driving success, or in this case, hindering it.
So you're not just throwing solutions at a problem, you're actually like diagnosing the root cause of their mediocrity.
Exactly. Think of it as a behavioral audit. You're identifying things like lack of collaboration, resistance to change, or a culture of blame. And then expert coaches work with teams to address these issues and foster a culture of continuous improvement.
That's so powerful because often it's not the technology that's holding companies back, it's the people and the culture.
100%. And that brings us to stage 4, where we start tackling that digital transformation theater problem.
Okay, tell me more about that. What's the solution for companies that are all show no substance?
It's a two-pronged approach, OKRs and the leadership dojo.
Okay, I'm familiar with OKRs, objectives and key results. But what on earth is a leadership dojo?
It's where we train leaders to become true drivers of digital transformation. We're not just talking about technical skills, we're talking about fostering a mindset of agility, collaboration, and customer centricity.
So you're equipping them to not just manage change, but to lead it.
Exactly. It's about empowering leaders to create an environment where innovation can flourish. And the OKRs provide that crucial framework for aligning everyone around ambitious goals, ensuring that digital initiatives are focused and measurable.
I could see how that combination would be really powerful because you're addressing both the cultural and the strategic aspects of transformation.
Yes.
But what about the human side of things? Remember all those disengaged and burned out employees?
Right. Stage 5, portfolio modernization and agility empowerment.
Okay, help me unpack that. How does modernizing a portfolio address burnout?
It's about shifting from a project-based mindset to a product-based mindset. Instead of focusing on delivering projects on time and on budget, you're building products that truly meet the needs of your customers.
So you're giving employees a greater sense of purpose
Exactly.
and ownership over their work.
Yeah, and by embracing agile principles, you're creating a more flexible and responsive work environment. Teams are empowered to make decisions, experiment, and iterate quickly. It's a much more engaging and fulfilling way to work.
And I imagine that goes a long way towards attracting and retaining top talent.
Absolutely. And that's where stage 6 comes in, HR evolution. This stage is about creating a culture that attracts and retains the best and brightest.
So what does that look like in practice?
It's about moving beyond traditional HR practices and creating an environment that fosters continuous learning, mastery, and a deep sense of purpose. Think about things like offering personalized learning paths, creating opportunities for mentorship, and rewarding employees for their contributions.
So it sounds like it's really about creating a company culture where employees feel valued, challenged, and empowered to grow.
Yes, because in the AI era, talent is your most valuable asset. If you can attract and retain the best, you're well on your way to building a unicorn.
This framework is really comprehensive. It addresses the dysfunctions head-on and offers a clear path for companies to achieve that coveted unicorn status.
Yeah.
But how can investors actually use this research in practice?
That's what we'll be exploring next. We'll dive into the investor takeaways and show you how to apply the unicorn's ecosystem to make smarter decisions, maximize returns, and become a true architect of future unicorns.
Okay, can't wait to hear more. Stay tuned, folks, because this is where it gets really interesting. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We spent a lot of time talking about those 6 dysfunctions that are holding companies back from reaching their full potential, especially in this AI-driven world.
Definitely.
And we've also been exploring Michele Brissoni's unicorn's ecosystem, that 6-stage framework that can help to really turn things around.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
It is. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about what all of this means for you, the investor.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's your money that's on the line.
Exactly. So how can investors use this research to make smarter decisions in the AI space?
Well, it's easy to get caught up in the excitement around AI, but as we've seen, there are a lot of pitfalls out there.
Yeah, a lot of hype.
Definitely hype. And traditional valuation methods, they just don't cut it anymore.
So are we saying forget about financials, forget about market share? What are we supposed to be looking at?
I wouldn't say forget about them entirely.
Yeah.
But you need to add a new layer of assessment. I call it digital maturity.
Digital maturity, okay.
Yeah. Can this company adapt and thrive in the age of AI? Do they have the right culture, the right talent, the right processes? That's where the unicorn's ecosystem comes in. It gives you a framework for evaluating those critical factors.
So imagine you're looking at 2 companies, both in the AI space.
Yeah.
And on paper, they look really similar, maybe even identical. But when you start to apply Brissoni's framework, you start to see, beneath the surface.
Yeah, you start to see the cracks.
Exactly. And you might discover that one company is really stuck in those dysfunctions.
Right.
Mediocre talent, resistant to change, all show, no substance.
Yeah, just going through the motions.
But the other company, they've actually embraced those principles of the unicorn's ecosystem.
Right. They're walking the walk.
They're attracting top talent, they're agile, they're customer-centric.
They're the real deal.
And suddenly you see this potential for exponential growth that might have been completely invisible before.
It's like having X-ray vision for investments.
I love that analogy. Okay, so let's say you're sold on the framework. How do you actually put it into action? Like, you're meeting with a company, you got their pitch deck in hand. What are some key questions you should be asking?
Well, first of all, don't be afraid to push a little bit. Go beyond those surface-level questions.
Right, don't just take their word for it.
Exactly. Ask them specifically how they're addressing those 6 dysfunctions. Are they investing in building a strong engineering culture? How are they measuring the performance of their IT department? What's their approach to talent development and retention?
Yeah, it's really about getting a sense of their mindset.
Yeah.
Are they thinking long-term? Are they committed to continuous improvement? Are they really embracing the principles of digital evolution?
And it's not just about asking the right questions. It's about being an active partner,
Right.
In their growth. Share your expertise. Connect them with your network. Help them navigate the challenges of the AI landscape.
So you're not just writing a check, you're becoming like a mentor, a guide.
Exactly. A champion for their success.
I like that. Okay, so what about companies that are already in your portfolio?
Yeah, great question.
How do you apply this framework to existing investments?
Well, take a look at your current investments through the lens of the unicorn's ecosystem. Which companies are showing those red flags?
Right, those dysfunctions that are holding them back.
Exactly. And on the flip side, which companies are demonstrating those signs of a thriving digital ecosystem? Where should you be doubling down, and where should you be considering, maybe divestment?
So it's about making tough decisions.
It is.
But strategic decisions.
Yes.
Based on a deeper understanding of what's really driving success in the AI era.
Absolutely. And sometimes the best move is to walk away from a company that's just resistant to change, even if it means taking a short-term hit.
Because in the long run, you're looking for those companies that are built to last, the ones that are going to ride this wave of AI innovation and achieve those exponential returns that we're all hoping for.
That's the dream, right?
It is. So to wrap this all up, whether you're evaluating a new opportunity or reassessing your existing portfolio, remember the key to success in the AI era isn't just about the technology. It's about understanding the human element. It's about the culture, the leadership, creating an environment where innovation can flourish.
And the unicorn's ecosystem, it gives you a powerful framework for navigating this complex landscape. Use it wisely, and you might just find yourself engineering the next generation of unicorns.
That's it for our deep dive today. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back soon with more insights to help you thrive in the AI era.
Thanks for listening, and please remember to subscribe to the Forge of Unicorns to stay up to date with our latest episodes.